What's up, guys? How's it going? Here, it's your boy Niro here, CEO of MCA, Multichain Advisors. We're going to be doing a workshop on marketing, agile marketing to be specific. So, without further ado, I'm happy to start this off. So, here's our table of contents today. This is what we're going to be going over. Pretty packed agenda. We're going to start off with introductions, talk about the challenge, go through like the agile shift and mindset, the overall framework, and then talk about a few examples and case studies and all that good stuff. So without further ado, why don't we get started over here? Actually, before all that, maybe I should give a quick introduction on myself and MCA. So Niro here, CEO of MCA Multichain Advisors. We're a Web3 growth consulting firm. We help companies with end-to-end go-to-market strategies, capital market strategies, product launches, token generation events, everything in between. We've worked with over 70 companies over the last 4 years. Some of our clients include Wormhole, Pith Network, Zeus Network, HelioPay, which is now rebranded to MoonPay after the acquisition, Momentum, which is the largest DEX on Sui, collectibles.com, MoviePass, D-Charge, list goes on. We've been around for a while and continue supporting and helping companies within the Solana ecosystem and the broader multi-chain ecosystem. I also host a weekly Twitter Spaces called the Everything Crypto Show. It's from my personal account, CryptoApe, which is at CryptoApe0. Trying to get that CryptoApe domain, so we'll see if Twitter allows us. But yeah, that's a bit about myself and the company. So without further ado, why don't we jump straight in? So introduction to agile marketing. What is agile marketing? Agile marketing is marketing that's specifically built, I'll say, complementary to the blockchain industry as it is right now. So agile marketing is really working towards, being very proactive, very data oriented, and taking time sensitivities into consideration. You're pretty much building out specific marketing campaigns and funnels that are specific to the moving times, right? In the industry such as the one we're in the blockchain space, you know, things happen all the time. Rug pulls left and right, black swan events, political stuff, crazy stuff is happening every day. So you need to be able to adapt. You need to be able to be agile, and you need to be able to shift things accordingly. So some of the things over here is adapt very quickly, continuous feedback loops, and focus on real data and real results. So what's the challenge in the traditional marketing, structure? There's, massive teams, there's all kinds of corporate, levels of decision making. Realistically, by the time an actual campaign rolls out, it might have taken 6 to 12 months to even go from idea to execution, right? But in this current space that we're in, which is the blockchain space, and also just in general, like the AI startup space, 6 to 12 months is a long time, right? OpenAI, went from like zero users to billions of users in 6 to 12 months, right? Like this is one of the fastest growing companies literally in the world, right? So like there, you need to be a lot more fast. You need to be a lot more agile, and that's some of this is some of the problems that we highlight, right? Campaigns are built on assumptions, not data. Customer sentiment shifts very quickly, long cycles of feedback loops that never actually end up into execution. Creative testing is way too late, and just across the board, slow growth, which just is not what you guys are looking for. So what is the agile shift? What is the solution over here, right? So moving through quick campaigns, flexible structures, being able to really quickly redirect your attention, your budget, your resources in a very very quick manner, right? And we've seen this multiple times. There's so many examples of companies that have done this in the Web3 space. If you think about how quickly even like the NFT meta died, and then the AI meta happened, right? Or like bear market to bull market, like things happen very quickly, right? You can go from like a potential bull market in 1 month to complete devastation across the board and the largest liquidation in crypto history. It just came out of nowhere in October, right? Which was supposed to be the great, pump month for us going into the bull market. So things move very, very quickly. And the agile shift for companies and startups, especially ones without endless resources, is really something to take into consideration, right? Like this encourages real-time learning. You want to incorporate cross-functional teams, collaborations without actual like silos and without causing friction with regards to decision making. So this is an overview of the framework, right? You start with the problem, then there's a solution, community, iteration, and then traction, right? So you always want to start off with what is the actual problem you're trying to solve. In this case, with the agile framework, you want to utilize data and everything associated with that. Next, you want to get straight to the solution. So building out like an agile framework, agile marketing campaign, agile like plan in place. You want to start incorporating your community, especially in the Web3 side. That's a big part of like what makes things successful. And then you want to start iterating, right? Like you want to quickly iterate based off of this plan. Like the first three steps over here are planning, right? And like semi execution. Iteration is really like quickly like seeing what's happening, seeing what works, like, and then moving on to the next thing. And the last but not least, the hope is that you guys will achieve traction, right? That's the end goal over here, and this is a way to do it. So we're gonna go through in the next couple of slides, like specifically, through this framework and give you guys some more details here. So the problem, right? Like you start off with identifying like pain points. Start off with making decisions based off of data, not just assumptions. And in a space where there is a lot of available data, right? You can go to Dune Analytics, you can go to SoulScan. There's a lot of analytics tools on even in like specifically on the Solana side of things. This is something you really want to focus on, right? The data gives you clues, it gives you opportunities and strategies that you can utilize to really focus on what is the actual like like solution that you can come up with. We can go on to the next slide. Step two is using that data and coming up with an actual solution that works, right? You want to be very quick here, right? This part is really the testing phase, right? You identified your problems, you know what you want to do. Next, you really want to just execute, right? Start getting more data, get new data, right? Try a few different things. Start work on shorter campaigns, shorter sprints, and this is going to help you get more data, and then you can really quickly iterate and figure out what's next. Step three, very specific, like to Web3, I would say, is community, right? Like you want to involve your community in this process, right? You want to get them involved as early as possible. But even if it's later stage, it's completely fine. Like you want to involve your community because these guys are going to end up being your best cheerleaders and your biggest supporters. And in many cases, if your community is not on board, you're probably doing something wrong, right? And there's a balancing act over here as well because you don't want to end up being in a situation where you get a Dow vote going or something where like nothing actually ends up happening because everyone's got an opinion. You want to be very selective with this where you know exactly what you want, you know how to approach it. You're pretty much just leaning to your community for assistance in helping you achieve your goals rather than leaning towards them for decision making and for like leadership, right? That's not their job, that's your job as a founders and as a core team. You're really just leveraging your community here so that they're involved with this, they're on board, and they kind of given their sign off, and this is going to help you get that traction. And then this part is like the iteration aspect, right? Like not everything you do the first time is going to work. Obviously is that's pretty basic common sense, but you want to be quick, right? You don't want to be weeping in your sorrows. You want to be quickly ready to iterate, right? Like you may have spent a couple $1,000s on some sort of campaign with maybe a bunch of influencers, right? Or maybe you're doing a Galaxy campaign, or like maybe you spent a bunch of money on a PR campaign, maybe some YouTube stuff. Like there's a lot of different angles you can work on it when it comes to campaign and iterations. But maybe that didn't work, right? Maybe the ROI was just not there. Maybe it doesn't work right now. Maybe it could work in the future, but you're leaving your digital DNA in these areas, right? Like your company's leaving their footprint in all these different areas, and that could be leveraged over time, especially in the future. But this is where you want to quickly, reiterate, right? Don't be focusing on super long campaigns that need to be meticulously perfect. Focus on like just quick execution, data, and that's kind of the way to do it, right? Test, measure, learn, adjust continuously, right? And the more you do this, more faster you're gonna get, right? The first time it might have been hectic because you're like, oh shit, I got to do this campaign. It's so hectic, it's so stressful. There's a bunch of money involved. Second time you do it, it's going to be easier. Third time, fourth time, fifth time, it's just going to become, it's going to be cake. And you'll be like simultaneously working on multiple campaigns at the same time by the time you get really used to all this. And then last but not least, traction, right? This is where you guys want to be. This is where, uh, um, this is what success looks like, right? So assess your KPIs accordingly, right? Don't be building out KPIs that, don't align with what you're doing. All right. Make sure you're building the KPIs that make sense, that like are also agile and quick to change, right? Focus on consistent incremental growth. Don't be trying to do like this one time viral thing and then no one cares about you guys, right? Like you want to be consistently growing slowly at like but surely, instead of like one massive viral thing that doesn't work out and then or it does work out and then it's cool for that 30 minutes and then what's next, right? How do you convert that into CTAs? How do you convert that into paid customers? How do you convert that to revenues, right? You want to build the framework, you want to build the foundation and just continuously work on what works and then quickly dismiss what doesn't work, right? Double down on what's helping you and quickly cut the losses, right? This is the same with investing. It's also the same with executing, right? Measure outcomes, not just volume, and yeah, just get that traction going and work on the performance. So yeah, so that was some of the some of the parts of the agile framework that we were able to go through, and I'm sure at the end of this we can go through any questions. Throughout the rest of this presentation, we'll just go over some of the stuff that we mentioned, like data informed growth. Over here, like let analytics drive performance, right? Let the numbers do the talking, and this is a part of like doubling down on what works, and cutting off what doesn't work, right? And then yeah, with that you can do visualizations, you can build dashboards. Like if you have internal stakeholders that you have to present to, which could be a board if you're a bigger company, it could be your investors. If you're a smaller company, it could be angels. Whoever is involved, maybe partners, right? Like is like Solana Foundation is like a partner to some of the companies. Like you want to build out visualization so you can help prove that and get that rolling, right? And this is like more so the community driven marketing, right? Like how do you do it? Like you have these different channels. You have Kaido, which is InfoFi. Everyone probably knows about it. And there's obviously a bunch of other platforms out there like Wallchain, Cookie, and then a bunch of new ones coming up, right? So like these are some ways to directly engage with your community and also expand your community, right, outside of like your existing, circle. Discord, Telegram. This is where you're obviously connecting with your community pretty much on a daily basis and hearing, their thoughts and their complaints and their feedback and their praises sometimes as well, right? So work on this, help use these tools to help identify like who your top community members are, help put them into categories, right? So then you can make even more like uh specific channels where you can directly reach out to them, right? Like you might not want to give the same level of time or like decision making capabilities to your brand new community members versus your OG community members who've been there from day one, right? Depending on the type of company it is, like if they're maybe investors or if they've helped like raise like money for you through like NFTs or like crowdfunding, whatever it is, like you want to keep your whales happy, right? You want to put them in a separate like communication channel so that you can hear their feedback directly without it actually spreading to the bigger community. Because if the whales are not happy, they're usually like the other community members are going to probably follow suit, right? So this is like this is different parts of like just managing that community and working on that community driven marketing. And then yeah, just more data stuff, right? Focus on just iteration time, uh, traction, all that stuff. It's very KPI data driven. So I think we've spoken about this quite a bit. Why don't we talk about case studies here, right? So let me give you guys real life examples of two situations that we've worked with our clients where agile marketing and just being agile in general in this crypto space has worked, right? One is Momentum. They're on the Sui ecosystem, so I'm not sure how many of you guys know about them in the Solana side, but they're now the largest DEX on Sui, and I think they're like top 10 largest DEX in all of crypto now. So they've like massively grown from like absolutely like nothing in the beginning of the year to this in like 10 months, and they're doing a TG in like a week and a bit. There's been many instances where they've been agile, but one example I want to bring up is when they did this NFT deed sale, right? I think it was like 3 4 months ago. They tried to like they really want to build a community, right? That was a goal over here. They want to build a community. They want to get some buy-in from their community, and they want to work on like a huge NFT collection, which like Sui's not really known for like NFTs per se, right? So they had 15,000 deeds that they were trying to sell, built out a really intricate like system, very real estate oriented. It was almost a hybrid of the NFT slash node sale structure. And they were trying to raise a lot of money with that, right? And they had good traction, and they were confident that this was going to work. Unfortunately, when this released, it actually didn't work. They only, I think, sold like 15% of the NFTs of their 15,000 NFTs, or like 15 or 20%. It was like very quickly, like kind of like apparent that this was not getting traction. And what did they do? Like they spent a lot of time on this, right? They spent a lot of money like building out the art, building out the system, working on the tokenomics, working on this whole like deed system. It was very well thought out. But the community just wasn't happy with it. The ecosystem was not down for it. So they quickly scrapped it, right? Within like 24 to 48 hours, they're like, hey guys, we completely understand. We're scrapping this. Sale is off now, right? And they gave a refund to everyone, right? They gave a refund. I think it was like a couple $1 million of refunds that they gave. And they're just like, fuck, this is not working. So like that's it, right? And what did they do in like 1 month's time? Just last week, they seen like the success of the Monad cards, which was obviously a sick growth hack that Monad did. They replicated a version of that, and they gave these deeds as free NFT, like soul-bound NFTs, to people who are active in the community, influencers, stakeholders, partners, and like quickly got that going. And then they had the ability to nominate people, right? So that was a very quick turnaround in like 1 to 2 months time, where they went from like a big activation that they were like super excited for, which did not work, quickly refunded and kind of you know covered their tracks and sealed the problem, right? Sealed the leak, and they use that now to their advantage to create traction for their TG, which is happening in a week, right? So it's like good timing to get that going, and everyone was talking about it, right? Similar to the Monad cards, everyone on the Sui, Ethereum, Solana ecosystem who got nominated and who was a part of this community quickly talked about it. So that's like a really good example of like, they could have gone completely, this could have gone completely south if they were like, no, we're doubling down on this. We're gonna keep this open for like 2 3 months. We don't care how much sells. Like by the end of it, we're just gonna close it. Like it would have just not been goodwill for them. It would have not been a good experiment for them, and probably not really great for the community, right? Kind of like that's enough I'll say over there. Another example is collectibles.com. So collectibles.com, Web2 company, absolutely crushing it on the collectible side. The collectible narrative has been growing across the world. Collecting like cards, um, like physical collectibles, shoes, thrifting stuff, like all kinds of stuff. Like this whole, trend of the world is kind of going towards this collectibles of like reusing stuff that, was passed down from older generations and whatnot. So that's a whole trend that's happening. Collectibles.com is crushing it on the Web2 side. They have millions of customers. They have like tens of thousands of monthly paid subscribers for their platform. They have I think 350,000 monthly active users. So like really massive company making millions of dollars in ARR on the Web2 side. But they seen like, Collector Crypt, which was a smaller player, came into the Web3 space, pretty much like 20 to 30x their revenues through the Web3 strategies, and like really targeting toward like the whales, the degens, the more gambling oriented like community that is Web3. And they've seen that significant traction, and they've seen like a great exit that Collector Crypt did, which even now I think originally they hit 600 million FTV, which is pretty massive, for like this segment at the moment. And like even now they're sitting at like 250, 300 million FTV. So pretty huge growth. Revenues went up, users went up, just super like big W's across the board. Collectibles.com, what do they do? They've seen this happen. They've been around in the Web3 space for a while. Solana Foundation is an investor in them from like two years ago. I think it was like their 2022 raise that they did. They quickly seen this, and they built out a full out Web3 strategy with the launch like happening very soon, right? So in a matter of like 1.5 months, they went from like we're a full Web2 company to now like, hey, we are a Web 2.5 company. We have a Web3 product. The product is already live. They're going to be doing a bigger activation on the Web3 side. So it's like very quick, agile movements, and like they're working towards the structure. So some of this is more on the strategy side, some of this is more on the activation side, but it just goes to show like in the Web3 blockchain space, like you need to be agile, you need to be very like data, oriented, and you need to be able to make those decisions and move quickly because things move, fast in the space. But yeah, that's about it, guys. That's all I got. So in conclusion, be agile, be nimble. Don't be dead set on like one idea. Make sure you're breaking your budgets down, breaking your campaigns down, and yeah, just absolutely crush it. And that's it, guys. That's all I got on my end. Thank you. Cool. Yeah. If you guys have any questions, over here or in the audience, like, let me know. What's up?
The hackathon building prediction markets for sports. Have about 30,000 users that are coming to the platform to create tournaments for like Fortnite, League of Legends, those Call of Duty Mobile. So, what should we still follow the same like community growth strategies, like using Kaido, Telegram, Discord communities? They'll follow suit. Though most of our, say like 90% of our users are like Web2 native.
Yeah, I don't know if Kaido would make sense for this specific situation. I would say Kaido is more utilized when you're like looking to do like a big, either huge product launch or like a big token launch, and you want to get more, like you want to expand your community and get more exposure from like the Web2 folks, the influencers, like folks who are more active on crypto Twitter. So it does cause a compounding effect, but I don't know, like for your audience, which is mostly Web2. I think Discord is great because that's like a Web 2 and Web 3 platform. Telegram is more Web 3, but you could, curate a smaller group of like super fans or whales in this Telegram group. I would definitely focus on like the existing community on the Web 2 side, but when you're ready to, expand more onto the Web 3 side and get some more exposure there, Kaido's an option. But like, here's the thing with these InfoFi platforms, there is a fee associated with it, right? And sometimes this fee is pretty massive, right? So like you want to make sure if you are going down that route, like you want to assess all the different options available. And you also want to make sure that if you're going down that route, like you're using that fee when it makes the most sense for you guys and you guys have the biggest ROI. Because if you do way too early in your life cycle, it's going to be zero ROI. Like there's going to be no, because even within the Kaido situation, it's still a competition. It's not like you get on Kaido and you're like, oh, you're set. You got 100,000 new followers and users and people. It's still a competition within Kaido because there's still like I think 100 plus companies on the pre-TG side that are competing with each other, and there's still like and there's probably like 50 plus on the post-TG side that are also competing with each other. So it's still a competition of like who's got the most mind share on this specific date, and you want to make sure you're well suited and you're well equipped to capture that top 10 kind of mind share.
It's to the audience.
Okay, yeah. So the question was that there's a community of 30,000 individuals on the Web2 esports side for this prediction market product that's being built. And does it make sense for them to utilize Discord and Telegram for community building and community communication? And also, does it make sense to use Kaido, which is an InfoFi product within the multi-chain ecosystem? So that's what my answer is towards.
Oh, yeah. And the second question was on the timing aspect. You mentioned, like, what's the right time to launch these campaigns?
So like depending on the type of campaign, like oh yes. So the question was with regard to timing of campaigns, what is the right time to launch these campaigns, and when does that make sense? So the answer I have over here is it does depend on the type of campaign, right? So like Kaido is a campaign of itself, right? But you don't want to do the Kaido campaign too early in your like company life cycle, because you're just gonna burn a bunch of cash, which depending on your situation, if you're VC backed or not, could be like, I mean, regardless, is a pretty massive amount. But like you want to use that when the ROI is best, effective, right? So earlier stage, what are some options that you can do? Community organic grown marketing, right? So if you have a product that is exciting and you have community members that are a part of that ecosystem, that means you're doing something right. You already have fans, you already have customers. So finding the customers within that batch of, in this example, 30,000 consumers, finding the ones that might be able to support you the best, right? Either they have a following on Twitter, maybe they do YouTube videos, maybe they're like a Twitch streamer, or like, Fortnite streamer, whatever it is, right? Like these guys are usually, if they're in this ecosystem, they're doing a bunch of different things, right? Like they're hustling on the side with something else, or they're doing something, right? And this is just a side hobby of theirs, is to come and hang out in this product, or be a part of this ecosystem. So leveraging their existing specialization and expertise, working off of that, right? Doing specific activations with your bigger community is another thing that you can do early on. That's almost free, if not completely free. Other things you can do early on is join like any type of Twitter Spaces, hackathons. Real great exposure. It's not really you're not really like paying for that exposure. It's completely free, right? Like just putting yourself out there and joining these different avenues is a very good free organic way to get some exposure, right? Once you start getting into the paid side of things, there's obviously on the Web2 side Google ads and all types of platform ads that you can use, and which are very effective on the Web2 side. On the Web3 side, there's like micro influencers, there's ambassadors, there's getting a KOL round earlier on, where you're getting potentially like some smaller KOLs or community members to invest in your product, and now they're going to be incentivized to talk about it. There's a lot of different things you can do earlier on in the stage, and then later stages like the Kaidos, the maybe the other questing platforms like Galaxy, Zili, which all require some sort of budget and rewards, and other kinds of like maybe paid media like PR, right? Like getting a big splash on Cointelegraph or Decrypt or one of the bigger Web3 media outlets, YouTube video sponsorships, and getting on YouTube videos. Like there's a lot of stuff that you can definitely work towards on the growth marketing side of things. Yeah, and then even like your community is great, right? Like building your Twitter account and then creating that sub community under your Twitter account is already like, that alone is a huge marketing push, right? Especially in this case, if you have 30,000 customers, like if you can get even a fraction of those customers onto Twitter under your Twitter banner, under like the community section, they start talking about like your product. That's an easy flywheel, right? And you just keep that rolling. So yeah, that's it. That's my thoughts.
Okay. Just checking for any more questions from Vancouver. No.
Nice.
which is awesome. And yeah, so it's really and how can people find you if you would like to learn more about MCA?
Yeah, yeah, for sure. I mean, just hit up the super team members. We're a member of super team, so they can put us in direct contact. I'm CryptoApe Zero on Twitter. So I do Twitter Spaces like for 4 years with my boy Dave over there. So we've been going strong, educating the people and asking the hard questions. So join our Twitter Spaces as a participant. Would love that. And then yeah, that's probably it. Those are probably the best two ways to connect.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much. Thank you for your meeting.
All right, appreciate it. Thanks, guys.